The colony of Haven. 7 had survived for 43 years without becoming important. That was exactly how Mara Venn liked it. The small human settlement sat beyond the major trade routes, surrounded by red deserts, silver mountains, and an endless violet sky. Humans shared the colony with several alien species, and although disagreements were common, Haven 7 had remained peaceful. Mara had built her life there with her daughter, Lena. Lena was 10 years old, curious, stubborn, and fascinated by machines. Her mother often joked that the girl could take apart a security drone faster than most trained engineers. "Don't touch that panel," Mara called from across the workshop. Lena froze. "I wasn't touching it. You were thinking about touching it." Lena smiled innocently. "Maybe." Mara shook her head and returned to her repair console. For a few precious minutes, everything felt normal. Then the alarms began. A deep siren rolled across Haven 7. Mara immediately looked toward the workshop windows. Outside, civilians were running toward the shelters while security officers rushed toward the landing platforms. Lena's smile disappeared. "Mom, stay close to me." The workshop doors suddenly opened. 3 armed Kharvex soldiers entered. The Kharvex were enormous creatures covered in dark armored plates. Their glowing eyes scanned the room before settling on Mara and Lena. Behind them walked Commander Varkle. He was taller than the others, wearing black military armor decorated with silver markings. "I am looking for a stolen Dominion device," Varkle said. Mara stepped between him and her daughter. "You're in a civilian engineering facility." "I know." "Then you know you need authorization." Varkle gave a cold smile. "Your colony's government has already been informed. We are searching every human facility." Mara's expression hardened. "You can search the workshop." Varkle's eyes moved toward Lena. "Not just the workshop." Mara immediately understood. "No." The commander tilted his head. "You haven't heard my request." "I heard enough." Varkle pointed toward Lena. "Your daughter has unusual technical abilities. Our intelligence indicates she can interface with systems most humans cannot understand. She is a child. She is an asset. She is my daughter." Varkle stepped forward. Mara didn't move. The Kharvex soldiers raised their weapons. Lena grabbed the back of her mother's jacket. "Mom." Mara quietly reached behind her and held Lena's hand. "Don't be afraid." Varkle looked almost amused. "You humans have an interesting weakness. You become irrational when your family is threatened." Mara stared directly into his eyes. "No, you misunderstand us." She tightened her grip on Lena's hand. "Family is the reason we become strong." Before Varkle could respond, the colony governor entered with several security officers. "Commander, this colony is protected by interstellar law. You cannot take civilians." Varkle turned. "Your law does not concern me. It will concern the Galactic Council." The commander laughed. "You believe the council will fight the Kharvex Dominion over one human child?" Mara answered before the governor could. "No." She looked at Varkle. "I believe they should." The commander's expression changed. "Take the child." 2 soldiers moved forward. Mara pushed Lena behind her. "Run." Lena hesitated. "Mom, run." The soldiers grabbed Mara. She fought desperately, not because she believed she could defeat them, but because every second gave Lena another chance to escape. One soldier struck her. She fell to one knee. Lena screamed, "Stop!" Mara looked up. Her face was bruised, but her eyes remained calm. "Lena, look at me." The girl did. "Remember what I always told you." Lena was crying. "What?" Mara smiled faintly. "Humans don't abandon their own." Varkle raised his weapon. Mara stood again and placed herself directly between him and her daughter. The shot echoed through the workshop. Mara collapsed. For a moment, nobody moved. Lena screamed and ran toward her mother, but a soldier caught her. "No!" She fought desperately. "Mom!" "Oh!" Mara's eyes slowly opened. She looked at her daughter one final time. "Don't be afraid." Her voice faded. "Earth will find you." Then she was gone. Varkle turned away as if nothing important had happened. "Take the child." But outside, something had already begun. Haven 7's emergency network had automatically transmitted the entire incident through a hidden distress channel. Millions of kilometers away, Earth received the signal. Inside Earth's Defense Command, officers watched the recording in silence. When Mara's final words played, nobody spoke. Finally, the president entered the command room. Who was she? An officer answered quietly. Mara Venn, civilian engineer. One child. The president stared at the screen. And the child, alive, captured by the Kharvex. The room became silent again. The president looked toward the fleet commander. Find that child. He paused. And prepare every ship we have. The commander understood. Are we declaring war? The president looked at Mara's frozen image on the screen. No. His voice was cold. Not yet. He turned toward the stars. But the Kharvex have just made the biggest mistake in their history. They had killed a human parent. The Kharvex believed Earth would protest. They expected angry speeches, diplomatic threats, and perhaps a few economic sanctions. They did not expect silence. For 3 days after Mara Venn's death, Earth made no public declaration. No fleet appeared on the borders of Kharvex territory. No human ambassador demanded war. The Galactic Council interpreted the silence as weakness. The Kharvex interpreted it as fear. Commander Varkle publicly announced that the incident on Haven 7 had been necessary. The human colony refused lawful inspection, he declared. The parent resisted military authority and was eliminated during the operation. The child is now under Dominion protection. That statement reached every major civilization in the galaxy. Earth said nothing, but behind Earth's silence, preparations had already begun. Admiral Elias Ward stood inside a massive command center beneath the surface of Mars. Around him, hundreds of officers worked without speaking. A holographic image of Lena floated above the central table. 10 years old, brown hair, small face, terrified eyes. Ward stared at the image for several seconds. She is being moved, an intelligence officer reported. Where? Kharvex transport vessel. Destination is their capital. Why? They believe the girl can access the stolen technology. Ward's jaw tightened. What technology? The officer expanded another hologram. A strange metallic device appeared. We don't know exactly what it does, but Kharvex intelligence reports suggest it can manipulate hyperspace navigation systems. Ward looked at the device. If they understand it, they could open artificial gateways. Yes, Admiral. Could they open one near Earth? The officer hesitated. With enough power, yes. Ward turned toward the officers. Then this isn't only about Lena anymore. A general shook his head. It was never only about Lena. The room became silent. Everyone understood what he meant. The Kharvex had murdered a civilian parent and kidnapped her child. Earth had every reason to attack. But Ward knew anger could destroy civilizations. We don't start a war because we're angry, he said. We start one when there is no other choice. A young officer stepped forward. Admiral, what about the rescue operation? Ward looked at him. Prepare it. Operation Emberchild began 6 hours later. 3 human reconnaissance ships entered Kharvex space using experimental stealth drives. They carried no large weapons. Their mission was simple. Locate Lena, determine the prison's defenses, and bring her home. The ships found her transport near the Kharvex border. But before the rescue team could act, a Kharvex patrol discovered them. The human ships immediately withdrew. The Kharvex pursued. For nearly an hour, the two sides raced through hyperspace. Then the human ships vanished. The Kharvex patrol searched the area, but found nothing. They returned home believing they had defeated another human operation. Their report reached Varkle. He smiled. Earth is afraid. But he was wrong. The human ships had never intended to fight. They had collected everything they needed: engine frequencies, defense patterns, communication codes, and most importantly, the location of Lena. On Earth, Admiral Ward studied the intelligence. She is being held at the Kharvex research complex on Draven. How heavily defended? Someone asked. Ward enlarged the facility. Very heavily. Can we destroy it? Yes. Can we rescue her? Ward paused. Yes. Then why not attack? Because there are civilians inside. Ward pointed toward the hologram. We do this properly. Meanwhile, inside the Kharvex facility, Lena sat alone in a dark laboratory. A scientist placed the strange device before her. Activate it. Lena shook her head. I don't know how. The scientist grabbed her arm. You will learn. Lena looked at him with the same stubborn expression her mother had worn. No. The scientist raised his hand. Then every light in the laboratory turned red. An alarm screamed. The scientist turned toward the door. A human voice came through the facility speakers. Attention. This is Admiral Elias Ward of the United Terran Defense Fleet. Lena froze. Ward continued. We are here for one child. Outside the facility, explosions shook the ground. Human soldiers breached the outer defenses with surgical precision. The Kharvex rushed to their weapons. But it was already too late. A human rescue team entered the laboratory. The lead soldier lowered his weapon when he saw Lena. Mara Venn? She nodded. The soldier removed his helmet. We've come to take you home. For the first time since her mother's death, Lena allowed herself to cry. But before they could leave, the stolen device suddenly activated. A massive energy field appeared above the facility. Ward watched the readings from orbit. His expression changed. What is that? An officer stared at the display. Admiral, it's a gateway. Ward looked toward the stars. The Kharvex had unknowingly activated a weapon capable of opening a direct path into Earth's solar system. And now they had given humanity something far more dangerous than an excuse for war. They had given Earth a target. Ward looked at the fleet waiting in darkness. Bring every ship out of hiding. The officers stared at him. All of them. Ward nodded. All of them. Across the galaxy, hidden human warships began powering up. For the first time in decades, Earth stopped pretending it was defenseless. Humanity had remembered what the galaxy had forgotten. Peaceful did not mean powerless. The gateway above the Kharvex research facility expanded until it filled half the sky. Lena stood inside the human evacuation shuttle, staring through the window. What is happening? She asked. The soldier beside her looked toward the gateway. They activated something they don't understand. Far above them, Admiral Elias Ward watched the same phenomenon from the command ship Resolute. Report. Gateway stability at 70%. Enemy fleet? Coming through. Ward studied the tactical display. Thousands of Kharvex warships began emerging from the artificial gateway. They were enormous. Battleships, carriers, cruisers, and assault vessels poured into the system. The Kharvex had intended to open a path toward Earth. Instead, they had opened the door to a battlefield Earth had already prepared. Ward calmly gave the order. Activate the outer defense network. Across the solar system, dormant platforms awakened. Satellites unfolded weapons. Hidden stations powered their engines. Defense ships emerged from asteroids and moons. The Kharvex fleet slowed. Their commanders were confused. The solar system was supposed to be poorly defended. Their intelligence reports had said humanity possessed only a limited military force. Then thousands of human ships appeared. One Kharvex commander stared at the tactical display. Where did they come from? His officer could barely answer. We don't know. Another screen suddenly filled with human vessels. Then another. And another. The Kharvex fleet realized they were surrounded. Admiral Ward opened a communication channel. His image appeared across the Kharvex command network. This is Admiral Elias Ward of Earth. The Kharvex commander responded. You are violating Dominion territory. Ward almost smiled. You invaded ours first. We demand your surrender. Ward looked at the massive fleet surrounding the solar system. No. The commander threatened him. You cannot defeat the Dominion. Ward's expression remained calm. We don't need to defeat your empire. He paused. We only need to stop you. The Kharvex commander laughed. You believe you can frighten us with a few thousand ships? Ward closed the communication channel. Begin. The human fleet moved. It did not charge blindly. Every ship followed a precise formation. Kharvex shields collapsed under concentrated fire. Human fighters targeted engines. Cruisers disabled weapons. Battleships destroyed supply vessels. Nothing was random. Humanity wasn't fighting with rage. It was fighting with discipline. The Kharvex launched their largest battleship, the Dominion Spear. The massive vessel pushed through the human formation. its primary weapon charged. "Admiral," an officer shouted. "The spear is targeting Earth's orbital defense grid." Ward studied the readings. "Let it come." "Sir, let it come closer." The Dominion spear entered the inner defense zone. Then dozens of human ships suddenly surrounded it. Its engines shut down. Its shields failed. The Kharvex commander realized the trap too late. Human ships had deliberately allowed the battleship to advance so they could isolate it. "Fire," Ward ordered. The combined attack struck the Dominion spear. Its armor broke apart. The battleship exploded in a massive flash of light. Across the galaxy, observers watched in disbelief. The supposedly weak human military had just destroyed one of the Kharvex Dominion's most powerful vessels. But Ward wasn't celebrating. "Status of the child?" A communications officer answered. "Safe aboard the evacuation shuttle." "Good." Ward looked at the remaining Kharvex fleet. "Now finish this." The Kharvex began retreating. Human ships pursued them toward the gateway. The Dominion commanders desperately tried to close the portal, but human forces had already taken control of its stabilizing system. The gateway remained open. Ward gave another order. "Prepare the fleet." An officer looked confused. "Prepare for what?" Ward stared through the bridge window. The Kharvex came through that gateway, believing they were bringing war to Earth. He turned toward the tactical display. "Now we're taking it back to them." The fleet entered hyperspace. One human ship after another disappeared through the gateway. Lena watched from the evacuation vessel as the enormous fleet vanished into the unknown. She looked at the soldier beside her. "Where are they going?" The soldier looked toward the stars. "Home." Lena's eyes widened. "You mean Earth?" He shook his head. "No." He pointed toward the gateway. "They're home." Across the galaxy, the news spread. Earth was no longer defending its borders. Humanity was moving directly toward the Kharvex capital. The Galactic Council immediately demanded that Earth stop. Emergency transmissions flooded human command channels. Earth must stand down. Further escalation could destabilize the galaxy. Humanity is violating interstellar law. Admiral Ward listened to every message. Then he sent a single response. This war did not begin when Earth launched its fleet. He paused. It began when a Kharvex commander decided a human mother's life meant nothing. Ward looked at the fleet approaching the enemy capital. They crossed the line. His voice hardened. Now they will learn where that line ends. The human fleet emerged above the Kharvex homeworld. For the first time in its history, the Dominion capital looked up and saw an enemy it had believed incapable of reaching it. Earth had arrived, and humanity had brought fire. The Kharvex homeworld had never seen an enemy fleet. For thousands of years, the Dominion had conquered civilizations before they could threaten its borders. Its capital was protected by enormous orbital fortresses, planetary shields, and the largest military fleet in known space. Then the human fleet arrived. Thousands of Terran warships emerged from hyperspace above the planet. The Kharvex defense network immediately went into full alert. Human vessels have entered orbit. The Kharvex Supreme Commander stared at the tactical display. How many? The officer hesitated. We cannot determine the exact number. Give me an estimate. More than 12,000. Silence filled the command chamber. The Supreme Commander slowly looked toward the planetary shield controls. Activate everything. The shield surrounding the planet came alive. Human ships formed a perfect ring around the world. Admiral Elias Ward opened a communication channel. His face appeared above the Kharvex command table. This is your final warning. The Supreme Commander laughed nervously. You have brought an invasion fleet to our capital and call this a warning? Ward's expression didn't change. We are not here to destroy your people. Then why are you here? To end your military command. The Kharvex commander rejected the demand. You expect the Dominion to surrender because of one human? Ward stared at him. She was a mother. The commander shrugged. Her death was necessary. Ward's eyes hardened. That is why you are losing. The channel closed. For several seconds, neither side moved. Then the Kharvex fleet launched. Thousands of ships rushed toward the human formation. Earth responded instantly. Human fighters intercepted the first wave, while larger warships disabled the enemy cruisers. But Ward continued giving the same order. Do not target civilian zones. The human fleet followed it precisely. Military stations were destroyed. Weapons platforms were disabled. Command ships were captured. But hospitals, cities, schools, and civilian transports were left untouched. The Kharvex realized something terrifying. Humanity had the power to destroy their civilization. Yet humanity was choosing not to. Within hours, the Dominion military began collapsing. One fortress surrendered, then another. Finally, the Supreme Commander's own flagship lost power. He stood before the damaged bridge window and watched human ships surround the capital. "Why aren't they firing?" he asked. A Kharvex officer answered quietly. "They're waiting." "For what?" The answer came through every communication channel at once. "Your surrender." The Supreme Commander looked at the city beneath him. For the first time in his life, he understood that the humans had never wanted revenge. They wanted accountability. He surrendered. The Kharvex military command was dismantled within days. Commander Varkle was arrested and transported to the Galactic Council. There, the full recording of Mara Venn's death was shown to representatives from every major civilization. The chamber became silent as Mara shielded her daughter. When her final words played, even the Kharvex representatives lowered their heads. Lena was brought before the council. She stood beside Admiral Ward, wearing her mother's old engineering badge. One council member asked gently, "What do you want from the Kharvex?" Lena looked across the chamber. "I want them to understand." "Understand what?" "That my mother wasn't dangerous." She took a breath. "She was just trying to protect me." The room remained silent. Lena continued. "She didn't hate them. She didn't want war. She only wanted me to live." Her voice trembled. "But they killed her because they thought nobody would care." Ward looked at the council. That was their mistake. The Galactic Council eventually created a new interstellar law protecting civilians and children from military coercion. The Kharvex Dominion was stripped of its conquered territories. Its military leadership faced trial. And Haven, 7 became a memorial world. Months later, Lena stood beside Mara's memorial. A simple stone monument overlooked the colony's red desert. She placed her mother's engineering badge beneath it. Admiral Ward stood nearby. "Do you think she would be proud?" Lena asked. Ward looked at the monument. "I think she'd be proud that you survived." Lena looked toward Earth shining among the stars. "Why did Earth come for me?" Ward smiled faintly. "Because your mother asked us to." "She did?" Ward nodded. "She told you Earth would find you." Lena looked down at the memorial. She was right. Years passed. Lena eventually became an engineer, just like her mother. She helped rebuild Haven 7 and designed systems that connected humans and aliens instead of separating them. Across the galaxy, Mara's story became legend. Alien children learned about the human mother who stood between an empire and her child. Military commanders repeated one warning: never mistake human compassion for weakness, because humanity had not answered Mara's death with blind destruction. It had answered with justice. It had shown the galaxy that humans could unleash terrifying fire when forced to fight, but could also stop when victory was achieved. And that became the lesson the galaxy never forgot. Earth was not feared because humans loved war. Earth was feared because humans loved their families enough to face anything for them.